everyone, we're Mending Minds. This project impacted us in unique but similar ways.
We were able to understand the depths of our illnesses, and before this project, we only knew surface level information.
We were also able to understand mental health issues that we were aware of but didn't know too much about.
Overall, we hope that you are able to receive and relate to our stories and know that you are not alone. My battle with depression began before I even realized it. My family history of bipolar disorder was something that I brushed off and basically ignored. It was not until my time in the military that I decided to look for resources to help combat my mental health disorder.
What was the key indicator that led you to reach out?
I realized that my bipolar disorder was a serious issue at my welcome home party from the military, where I was ultimately riding a very large high that ultimately led into a low depressive state, and I got overwhelmed and ended up having to end the party early. This is when I knew that I had to reach out and get resources in order to combat it.
My journey with self-love has been quite the ride. It was majorly influenced by how I learned about love. My family never expressed it in healthy ways, and with learning it like that, I never expressed love to myself in healthy ways. I would stretch or break my boundaries to help anyone I love with no regards for myself. I realized that when I stretched my boundaries, I was not the best me I could be for anyone else. It was setting clear, healthy boundaries with myself and others when I loved myself the most.
How do you distinguish self-love from narcissism?
Self-love is unapologetically loving yourself for the long term, and narcissism is the need for reassurance and giving into temporary comfort rather than engaging in self-love.
Driving has always been a big fear of mine and caused me a lot of anxiety. After getting into my accident, I decided to no longer drive and take a few years off because of the fear I had with cars. I would be afraid to be in them, driving in them, even driving with someone else. The fear became so persistent that it took me a while to get over it, and so I started taking small steps. I started taking things slow with driving, like driving to local areas I knew and taking small steps in order to reduce my anxiety. I still continue to have anxious feelings when driving, but it's not as bad as it used to be because I took those small steps.
I think that starting small can help overcome bigger fears with anxiety.
I think it definitely can be beneficial to try, especially with generalized anxiety disorder and people that have those paranoid feelings. Trying to reduce the anxiety by taking those small steps can definitely be beneficial.
When I was younger, my first experience with OCD was with germophobia. My kindergarten teacher talked about germs and how they're everywhere. That triggered me to think every surface that I touched was contaminated. I washed my hands constantly and wouldn't want to touch anything. My parents were very concerned, obviously, and only until they brought me to a medical doctor that explained to me how some germs are good for you was I only able to slowly get over my obsession to constantly washing my hands.
Do you think because of the unwanted thoughts and repetitive actions that people with OCD have, they're afraid to try new things out?
I would say yes, people with OCD are definitely afraid to try new things because a huge aspect of OCD is fear, and actually one of the ways to overcome OCD is to face these fears directly. So yes, especially if the obsessive thoughts are conflicting with the thing that they're trying to do, it is very hard for people with OCD to try new things.
Overall, that we hope that you are able to receive and relate to our stories and know that you are not alone.